Welcome to Reality After Show, covering season 39 of MTV's The Challenge, Battle for a New Champion, episode 1, Teamwork Makes the Perfect Work. My God, that title's way too long. Both of them are. But I am your host, Alex Trias, as always, joined by my ride or die, Dan Montchal. Dan, how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, when I was making the title for YouTube and everything, I had to look it up 3 times. I was like, Battle for New Champions. That's stupid. But here we are. We're back.
It's stupid, but it's apparently the season TJ's been waiting for a long time.
I hope that's not the case, but
Well, the viewers agree with you because it was the lowest viewed premiere ever. Which, again, MTV, you have a ton of time slots at your disposal because the only other things you're showing are Catfish, 1 hour of Jersey Shore Family Vacation, and Ridiculousness. Why do you have to have it on at the same exact time slot as Survivor when you're all part of the same parent company? Like, make it, you could have just done the Thursday time slot at, like, make it Thursday at 9, Thursday at 10, make it that late episode on Thursday. It still would have gone bad because no one watches MTV anymore. But still,
no,
come on.
it's nobody watches MTV, and I get that they want to try to keep it like its own thing to, oh, you have to turn into MTV. But as you said, that you're all part of the same network. Put it on Paramount Plus. Like, that's going to help the viewership so much.
Truly, I don't understand why they still are insistent of having their own separate or separately only being able to watch on MTV, needing cable or whatever to log in to watch it if you don't DVR it, if you don't have cable or YouTube TV. It's like you have Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus becomes more valuable if you put the episodes on the next day for streaming because streaming numbers matter now. Like, it's not as if you don't you lose numbers from it being on the streaming platform.
Especially because I guess the model's already out there now. There's been House of Villains isn't going on Peacock right away, which I know Johnny has
But it's
been
still going
upset
on like
about.
the NBC app
It's
and
going, but I know they said for like all of Bravo shows, because it's all part of NBC. On Bravo, if it airs, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, it's all put on Peacock. So that model's already there. It makes all the sense in the world. Why they wouldn't just do that to help boost ratings, I don't know, because I'm assuming I saw the same, tweet out or whatever of its ratings, and whew, this
well,
one,
let's
this one
let's
could be a
talk
rough
about
one.
it because we know this is a common thing with the challenge. When the challenge doesn't bring the old, like the quote unquote the old schoolers, like the
Mm-hmm.
people that we have gotten to know and love through a course of decades, essentially at this point. If you don't have any of them, and I know they advertised the legends, and we know they're a part of the season, but everyone also knows that they're not a focal point of the season. They're just a part of a season where they will show up for 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
an episode. So, like, you don't have, you're not pitching something like this. It's like the beginning of Invasion of the Champions. It was all people who've never won, like new people, and they are good season. Invasion of the Champions is a good season, but people don't give it the chance because you don't have like the name value. Like on this cast, if I'm just like going through the names here, like the biggest names you have coming in are Michelle, then you have Horacio and Olivia. If you were a fan of last season, you have Nerys. Like, but outside, and then you have like Big T. Maybe like Big T is the most like seniority player
Yeah.
of this group. Like there isn't any names that you are looking at and you're screaming like, "Oh my god, that's attention level TV. I need to watch this live right as it airs."
Yeah, you have that issue with it. And the one thing I'm going to be curious as the season goes on is I understand that, there's been a fatigue of some of the vets, that are there season after season. But one of the things you have to realize is you may not like them as competitors. Some you love, others you love to hate. But people tune in for that, and they're also good at carrying a narrative. All of these people on this season have been essentially secondary characters in most of their seasons. And so I'm curious, are any of them able to kind of take more of that Bananas West producer role and be like, hey,
Mhm.
we're making a TV show. How do we make this good? I don't know if they can or not. Hopefully someone can.
But I think that's the important thing here is it's one of those things where you don't know what you have until you put them in that situation. Because
Mhm.
like it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of we can't create new stars, so we keep bringing back the try and true of the Bananas, the Tories. Now we're like CT. We're bringing Cara Maria back, which hopefully this isn't just a one-time thing, and this is for a lot more to come with
Right.
Cara. But you, if you want Michelle to be like that next tier, like right below Tori, you have to give her a chance to like really shine and show that she can carry a show. You have to give Jay has been wanting this whole time to be a new thing for the challenge, even though he says it himself here. This is his fourth season, 3 seasons. He still hasn't made it to the halfway point of a season, but he wants to be that. Like he wants to be someone who can carry a show, but you can't carry the show when you still feel like you have to play second fiddle to like the champs, the people that you know coming in are going to be running things. So you need to have these opportunities to be a little messy, understand that the ratings aren't going to hit. But this is the last time I'm going to talk about the ratings because this is about, if you're here, it's about what we think. It's about what we
Mhm.
think about this group. And I'll be honest, uh, I like the cast. I like the fact that they're trying something new. The format is completely new for the show. Hasn't been done in this style. Um, and I'm very interested to see who comes through this season and is like their mainstays now. Like these are people that you should be bringing back any chance you get, and who are the people that you're gonna finally realize, no, it wasn't just the fact that we had bigger stars; they just are not it.
Yeah, that is the one thing that I think we're absolutely going to get this season is I think because we have seen over the past few years that vet number has obviously been dwindling because people are getting older, they have other things going on in their life, they can't come back. So MTV, they really do need this next generation of kind of their staples to keep them going through the next few years, or maybe not on MTV, but the challenge at least. And I think that's the one good thing about this season is we're going to find out who are some of these people that didn't necessarily get the most fair shake in some of their seasons. Here's your, there are none of the vets here. You have the entire opportunity right in front of you. Are you going to go out and take it and become a staple, or okay, you had your 2 seasons. We don't need to see you back anymore.
Exactly. Like, there's a reason why they're bringing Jay back, even though he hasn't made it to a halfway point. Like, every season that he's been on, he has been a plot line on the
Mhm.
show. Like, he has inserted himself in. Does he get himself in trouble because he puts his foot in his fucking mouth? Absolutely. But
Well, with
he's made something of it. But like if that's the highest tier you have that, and you have Michelle who is just coming off Challenge USA season 2, where she was looking sort of snakish because she was good with everybody. Are we going to see something similar here? Because we know for her, she's coming in probably one of the more connected people in a way where people aren't going to be targeting her immediately.
No, looking at Jay and Michelle, they're two of the people that I'm the most curious to see how they're going to do this season. Because you could say in the past that, okay, they were kind of, paying their dues, in challenge terms, for instance, and, going through making the relationships. They've been around a few, so they don't need to be these early targets. But now, because you don't have, a vet alliance or anything working against you, is this where you can take your next step in your challenge career? Or is it, I mean, especially with those two, if it doesn't really work out for this season, I don't really know what to say about either of them moving forward. So
Well,
those are two that I'm keeping an eye on to see how they're going to do this season because all the excuses in the past are no longer there.
true. And I understand your side of the argument of can they win? is like your part of
It
it.
isn't
Like,
not
can
that
they
they have to
become a main
win.
character and win?
Hmm. Yeah, it isn't
And I'm
necessarily win, but it's can they make it at least a deep run into the game?
And I think they both can. I think they both
Mm.
can be set up very well with this group, especially with, I think, a lot of infighting that's going to come, especially when you look at the trailers that are getting in the preseason and also at the end of this episode. My God, some of these people just like really want to be a villain. Corey. But let's get into it, because as much as all these people do want to come to the champ, there's 24 of them here. They spent the night at the arena. That's all in episode 0. That's where you had that montage of everybody making out, being a mess, partying. Um, and then TJ Lavin shows up the next day. And this is where we start learning about the game. So there's 24 of them. This game's going to test their intellect, their strength, their social skills, and the ability to adapt. Um, but during the game, in order to be the best, you gotta beat the best. We get that montage of all the vets coming out into the arena, um, with some big profile names, even though we still have only seen the back of Brad's head. So I'm assuming Brad's not that noteworthy this season.
I think you got the back of his head and a little silhouette of his beard, but yeah, that was
But,
about it.
well, it's hard not to get a silhouette of his beard when the beard is bigger than his head at this point.
That is true.
Um, But we do see during the arena toast, we have Big T making a toast, which apparently, if you go through online circles, is a big point of contention for people, and why she ultimately gets targeted early, which is interesting. Because I do believe Big T is has the most seasons under their belt of this group.
I believe it's Big T and J. Well, I guess you could say
Okay.
even Michelle if you're counting USA. I think they've all done. No, Michelle may only be at 3. No, I think this is her 4th. So I think those 3
Yeah.
have all done 4, and everyone else is less than that. I'm pretty
And we
sure.
do see Jay make the toast in the house, so seniorities. Oh my god, I just saw in my notes. I wrote that like Aesop was playing for his wife and son, which I was like, that was news to me that he's married, but it auto corrected his name to ASAP.
Well,
Well,
he was. I was kind of surprised to see him back, but hey,
same,
let's see what he
considering
can
he
do.
was there for a good 1 episode. But hey, Banana's first season was only there for 1 episode. I'm not comparing the two, but sometimes you want to give these people chances because you see what they can be. So TJ arrives, and this is where we are learning that there's only going to be one winner, but this is going to go through stages. So we have a control stage where everyone's going to work together as a team to earn money for the pot, which currently starts at $300,000, but can get up to as high as $500,000. But if you lose these challenges in the control phase, the money you lose will no longer be available to be gained to the pot in the future. I guess unless he says this isn't a pass fail challenge. So like the challenge today was a pass fail. They failed it. That $50,000 isn't showing up. The second is chaos, where now they have got their cap on their money. This is where they're going to protect their money. This is where it is assumed the legends come into play, because the legends are here. Where if they win eliminations, they will take the money from the pot, and that's how they will make their money outside of their appearance fee for agreeing to show up. And then last is conquest, and yeah, so like that'll be like after the legends are done. There's probably gonna be like some what's the word I'm looking for? I keep on say I want to keep saying plague, but it's not plague.
Purge.
I think there's gonna be a lot of purges or like multi elimination rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final, obviously, where only one person will win at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a lot. The one thing I don't love is that there's only going to be one champion. I think that there, probably should be 2, But silver lining, the thing that I will give it is I am happy to see that they're bringing back second and third place prize money, which means you're not going to get that stupid shit at the end.
No, we're gonna split the money across everyone.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you make it to the final, second and third deserve a smaller piece of it. I always liked it when they did that. I think that's fair. So I am happy to see that back. Like I said, I just don't love that there's only going to be one champion because don't get me wrong, there are a lot of badass women on the show, but I think in a final, it's when you get to some of that running or whatever, it's so the odds are in the favor
It's
that a man's probably going to win,
it's
unfortunately.
rare when you see the women finish first. Like the last time we've seen that is with Jenny in
Yeah.
Total Madness. She
Mhm.
wins outright, and then Bananas wins for the guys, which that should be just the case in general. Like I understand like some of the maybe like they saw based off their budget for this season, and because they're adding second and third place, so like we'll just give it to one person instead of
Mhm.
having to split it so many ways. But I don't know. I'm very intrigued by this format. It's different. It's new. I want to see how it plays out. I don't think it's something that they can just easily do again, obviously, but it gives some fun things for them to work with. So I'm here for it. But this does lead us to our first challenge where everyone will be working together as a team, and we are now entering the control phase. And I'm so sad that Matt Bischoff's not here because the first one's called Hull Control.
God, Matt would have killed this challenge.
Oh, he definitely would. Um, so in Hull Control, it's very straightforward. As a group, you're gonna run from the starting line into the giant hole. That's like mud water in there as well. And there's a bunch of poles in there that you have to get all the poles and all of you out of that hole, and then use the poles to solve a puzzle to create like an image, which the image obviously was the challenge logo.
Mhm.
Um, so they have to start figuring out what to do as a team because you only have 10 minutes from when TJ starts it for you to complete all of this. And immediately, Melissa points out that there's a lot of alphas. There's a lot of leaders or people who believe themselves to be leaders
Mhm.
in this group. So the thing that's going to make the control phase very interesting is how are you going to win this money when everyone thinks that their plan is the best plan? And if everyone thinks their plan is the best plan, communication is going to be a big issue.
Yeah, and I mean, you see that playing out right away is because surprisingly, when you first get, the shot and it's how do you say his name? Kieran?
Kieran.
The dude, Kieran, yeah. It seems like okay, he's gonna make the plan, and it's like, huh, they're actually gonna do it. And then you see it happening in this whole segment with Berna, and you're like, yeah, maybe not so much.
Yeah, so that was actually the next thing on my notes is like everyone's trying to figure out a plan, but then like Kieran steps up because Kieran has experience as a military boy. And he sort of takes the lead, says like, let the guys like really help out in the physical part, get all the girls out of the hole first, get all the poles out, and let the girls start handling the puzzle because the girls are smarter. You know, girls can use their brains, guys will use their muscles, and that's sort of like the plan that's put in place. Berna is like being ignored while she wants to give her opinion because everyone else is getting their voice heard. She's trying to get her voice heard, and people then go to Olivia, people go to other people, and she's getting annoyed because like she has experience in some of this stuff with her athletic background as an acrobat. Like there's other people that can be helpful besides just men because men are stereotypically stronger. Uh, like I'll be honest, I felt for Berna this episode. Like it just felt like that person who wants to fit in, wants to do what she feels like she can do, and it's just at every single point is being told no.
Yeah, and I don't because at first looking at it, I was thinking, okay, maybe part of it is just because in that I can only imagine when because excuse me, I'm sure they're only giving 5-10 minutes to probably figure out their plan before it starts. And I think it was just because she was more soft spoken that I don't think they were necessarily trying to ignore her or anything like that. But with all that chaoticness going on, she just wasn't heard. But yeah, you could see that it was really, it was starting to affect her. And you could see what she was trying to say, that it ended up being right, because ultimately what gets them at the end was, sure, they need to get all those guys out and to help them. Sorry, I don't know where I'm going with that. You need to get all those guys out. But what ended up happening is, when it came to the puzzle, those poles are really heavy. And when it's covered in mud, it was too hard for some of those women to just be able to lift those and move them around if it was, okay, this isn't quite in the right spot.
Right. It's like there's no true direction of knowing like what could have worked better. But I think they needed to have been more clear of like, this is the person Kieran's in charge down in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone listen to Kieran. Kieran's gonna lead the way. He's gonna tell who goes up when. You needed to, and we didn't see it in the episode, but we needed someone to make clear indication of, this is the person in charge of the puzzle. The rest of you that are up there need to just be listening to what they are saying, and let that be how you move the poles out. Because ultimately, the issue we see here is all the women are just moving around. Like Michelle's trying to get everything moved, and when she would move things to the right position, people would then take the poles that she's no longer looking at and move them to a different spot, thinking that they weren't in the right spot. And ultimately, that does lead to the failure at the puzzle, because we do get everyone out of the hole eventually. But you could just tell right off the gate that their miscommunication was very apparent. Everyone wanted to be first. Everyone wanted to be the person who goes in. Jay is probably like pulled in half after Kieran is like dragging him into the pit of hell while everyone else is trying to drag him out of the hole. Like, their miscommunication is the theme of the episode.
It's miscommunication all over the place. And, I wasn't there. We didn't see everything. So I'm not going to harp on, oh, this is exactly what they should have done the entire way. But you think it would have made a lot more sense to, hey, let's get a few of the big guys out of the hole, and let's get the two people that you're saying are in charge of the puzzle. I'm thinking, Survivor tribe wise, that, okay, we have two people in charge of the puzzle. And so you allow, whether it be Michelle, Olivia, whoever, they're going to take care of it. And you have some of these men that are going to do the heavy lifting to move the pieces around, to kind of be the muscle. And people
Yeah.
just kind of help with that as they come up. And
so like, what you needed to do here was like, let's say, I think Ed should have been helping with the puzzle. Like Ed, engineer, so smarter.
yeah.
And he's strong, so like let him go around and help. Because when you have people like Chauncey and Corey who are bigger guys with bigger and also are like in very good shape, have them be helping out. Have James. I keep wanting to call him Jack because I do not know who this man is other than he was on the UK. Like, have those guys helping pull people up. And you needed the last people in the bottom to be the ones that are like more athletic, that can like jump up instead of having to use people's bodies to like climb up at the end. So like you
Yeah.
needed to know who are the athletes, like who are the people that like had the best vertical, like can do all this help getting people up and then can jump up like the Survivor ramp,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so have the person who's most athletic at the end instead of having the leaders at the end, because Jay and Kieran are smaller. Like, it's going to require more effort to try to get them up, which also found is so strange. Like, how many guys it needed to take in order to pull Jay up. And I guess Kieran was on there too, but like, when you have all that like muscle there, like you would think it would have been a little bit easier.
Well, there were like 8 dudes at the top of the hole. There's no way that all of them were actually helping. I think some of them were, it's, you're doing some type of lift where a bunch of people are lifting stuff up. And it's like, all right, I'm just going to stand here and pretend like I'm helping, but I'm probably not doing
Well,
all
someone
that
who
much.
wasn't pretending or like cheating at the moment with helping was Callum. But we'll get there.
Speaking of cheating,
But yeah, so we leave this and we do get like some people talk, like we hear from Berna like saying at the moment, like leaving the challenge is Big T and Melissa are names going around as like they didn't help that much. So they are people that could potentially be in danger. Kieran is like worried because he's like, well, like I accomplished what I planned us to do. I was never planning to also be helping with the puzzle. But could this be what upends me immediately? And they just go like, well, you're the new guy. We don't know you. Your plan failed ultimately, so you could go in. But we do know from TJ that they're going to the house now officially. They will deliberate on who to vote for, but the vote won't happen until they're in the arena. So everyone has to suit up. Everybody has to be ready to go down in the sand.
yeah, which I know you don't love, but just we'll get into it more as we go into deliberation. But that was so shitty on all the men, as we'll see the rest of the episode goes. Well, we did our job. We got everyone out of the hole. It's just like it can't be as simple as breaking it down to we got everyone out. It's on the women to figure out the puzzle. So they definitely had a lot of issues going on there. But I know we were talking about it a little bit ahead of time. And what was your kind of thoughts about, hey, we're not going to know who's being voted into elimination till we're at deliberation? Or sorry, not
Um,
deliberation, but actually at the arena.
well, my first thing is where's the hopper? We need it. We need it for this season. Where's the hopper? Like to be real, like I don't mind the idea of everyone has to be ready. Like I love the fact that people like in a theory, no one can feel comfortable going into the arena that night. What I don't like is that it's a public vote and how we ultimately see it, like literally just go across the line. Is like
Mhm.
as soon as one name's said, like it's psychology. Like as soon as one name is said, the easiest thing for you to do, and we literally hear people say this is, well, because Berna said this name, I'm also saying this name. And it's just easy ways to like make excuses, keep your ass out of the fire because you'll be like, well, I just went with what the house said. I just did what the first person said. It's not my fault that your name was the one said. Like, is I don't know. Like, we'll see how it goes. Like, I'm sure there'll be more drama as this season goes on, especially just based off of how these people have been talking on social media for weeks on end.
Mhm.
But I think it could have been done in a better way because we've seen fun public votes before. Like I think of like the one that comes off my head is the hinky vote by Brittany that ultimately sends Leroy into elimination.
Dirty 30. No, that's why I think that if you want to do a public vote, that's perfectly fine. I think you have to do it at deliberation. I don't think you do it at the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so we saw, and we'll get there as we see them all talk and come together. I think, all right, you have what, 10, 20 minutes, whatever, to discuss as an open forum. And then we're voting right then and there. And sure, maybe you don't know the person they're going against until you get to the arena, but have the main vote be known
Mm-hmm.
prior to going in.
Yeah. So, but from there, we go to the house, and I love that there's drama again of people wanting to be in rooms with specific people or trying to avoid certain people. Like a lot of the girls are trying to avoid having Berna in their room. Berna doesn't get what she wants, where she comes in with Michelle being a big crutch for her, like someone that she could rely on. She wanted a room with her. She doesn't get a room with her. Um, Oh my god. And I feel so bad for this girl because I absolutely adore her from when we watched her on the Global Championship. But I know I butcher her name
Hui?
every single time. Yahui. Yahui. Or what? Like I listened to a YouTube video, it almost sounds like it's like Yahui when when you hear it, but it's in Olivia's room, it's Olivia, Yahui, Zara, and Nerys. Um and one thing that's becoming very apparent is the ride or die rookies are very tight with each other because we see them constantly in a room together of Olivia, Nerys, Raven, and Mariah, and like you can add Michelle into that as well. So from like a girl standpoint, it seems very apparent, at least to me, that those that's a big voting block, a big group together.
And I hope I'm wrong, but can we talk about why is Raven back? Like of that
I
pair
love that
from,
Raven's back.
and I think she's going to be much better this season because she's not going to be crying over like Johnny and thinking that they
And
were
she's
gonna.
not gonna get she's not gonna have her shoes pop off in elimination.
But it's just so weird that looking back from last season, or last MTV season of Ride or Dies, that someone from that pair of Johnny and Raven, that Raven's the one that's back and not Johnny.
Well, it seems like they only made that choice, and I think like Johnny ended up because of that going on to a different show. I think he's on like the Love Island games that's gonna be like coming out on I want to say on Paramount, maybe on
Okay.
Peacock. I don't know. Actually, no, it's probably Peacock. Now that I think about it, yeah, because Justine is also gonna be on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another person that I wish was on this season.
Justine
Where's
would have been
Justine?
great.
She was perfect for this show.
No, I think you could have done a lot of the people that ran the final in USA 1. I mean, we obviously don't need like Sarah back. I don't think Sarah would come back. But between like Justine, Kayla, I guess Desi, you couldn't come back.
Enzo?
No, not Enzo. Not Enzo.
He's cooking. His plan's cooking. You just have to wait for it.
It's unfortunately too slow of a burn, Enzo.
Nah, too slow. It's coming. It's coming one of these years. But we see that. Another thing we see is Big T. And Big T is like, I'm not masterminding. But then you go into confessional. She's like, I am masterminding. I wanted to
she's
be a
talking with
guy.
Melissa.
She talks about all these people that she had pregame alliances with coming in, people that she feels good with. She's like, I'm really trying to beat a West this season and have all those pre-mades like coming in and be in the circle, be the nucleus of all the different relationships so that in theory you should be in the best spot. Unfortunately for her, and Corey says it in his Twitter, but like, I don't know how reliable we can have of Corey as a narrator for anything analyzing the game, because he's like, half the people wanted her out immediately. We were just using her for information and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, and it's sort of funny with Big T too, because like she's a, I saw this one, I forget his name. It's like Alan Aguirre on Twitter. Like he's a more of a focal like Twitter guy for the challenge. He was like, Big T is like the most unreliable narrator because of like all the information she was not privy to going into the confessional. But it's sort of like, I'm here for it because it's Big T. But
that kind of is, she said she wanted to play a West role. That kind of is the West role of thinking that you have all the information when you don't. But the hard thing for her is that someone like a West game to have all these alliances and it work out perfectly for you. It's so hard to do because how many times in the past have we seen this completely blow up in his face? And sure, there's
more times than not.
Exactly. We've seen that more times than what it actually does work out. And for that, someone who is good as Wes. So I think we will see, a lot over the next few episodes of where Big T is moving forward with this, because it takes a special type of person to pull that role off. And like I said, I think we both agree that Wes is that special type of person. And more times than not, it completely blows up in his face.
Right. We do get the toast from Jay here. Like a shout out to the old generation, but this is the next generation, and we are here to stay. I'm like, Jay, you are the same age as all that old generation, buddy. Like, a lot of you are like, it's not like y'all are coming in and you're all are 22, 23 years old. Like, a lot of you are in your 30s. A lot of you aren't like, I'm not calling them old because I'm same age range, but it's like, we'll see. We'll see if you're the next generation. This is the entire point of this season.
Yeah, I get what he was trying to do. And, good on Jay.
Yeah, out with the old, in with the new ish.
Which I mean, that was pretty much stolen from it was Corey or Nelson who did it in Invasion. So we'll see. We'll see.
Nelson did it last season before the twist.
Okay, maybe that's where I'm right. Someone else did it in Invasions, but that is right. Nelson did do it last season, and
It was probably Corey on that one. But yeah, and then we get a random confessional from Jessica that seems very out of place at the moment, where like Jessica has not been a part of the conversation at all. Like you don't see her. Like there's like one confessional, I think, but then you get her in here. She's like, "I'm Jessica's getting in her head and feels she's seen as weak," and I'm like, "Huh." Which is so weird. Like because you and we covered the Challenge Australia on the Patreon
mhm.
back when you did, which is the best way to support us at realitypatron.com. Become a patron for a month. We got the weekly Q&A. We got insider information, info on House of Villains tea from Johnny Fairplay, and they're covering the challenge. I'm not Australian challenge, my God. Australian Survivor, currently doing Brains vs. Brawn, which is one of the best seasons. So become a patron at realitypatron.com. But when we were covering the Challenge Australia, we were very high on Jessica. And also, like, she didn't seem on that season as, like, the weak girl, the small girl, you know?
No, the reason why she was targeted on that season was because she was part of that bedroom
Yeah, the
alliance that
Bedroom
was like
Alliance.
with Emily Grant,
John O.
Johnny O, and the other douchebag, Ryan, I think his name was. So yeah, it is weird because she seemed. I don't want to say that she seemed like she was one of the best competitors, but she definitely was at the very worst average, or a little bit above the pack. And
Yeah.
so I was thrown off when I saw this confessional as well, being like, I understand people have their own anxieties, they get in their head about it, but she has never done anything to this point to think, oh, she's the weakest competitor here. Had she not brought that to light, looking at the cast, I wouldn't have pegged her as, oh, she's definitely one of the weakest.
And if she didn't bring it up later on, she wouldn't have even been the vote.
So
Because the next scene is the Ride or Die Alliance, and Mariah and Olivia bring up Berna. And Michelle at the moment's like saying yes to them, but Michelle once again is in the middle of all these relationships where she comes in feeling like responsible for Berna and needing to help Berna through this game because Berna does have like some temperament issues. Like she does like sort of get defensive very quickly and isn't good at blending in with the crowd. And then we also start hearing from Olivia more so about wanting to go after people like Melissa because they want to take power away from Big T, which was also a really interesting one coming in.
I get that Big T, we were talking, she's been around longer than most on this season anyway, and she may know the most people, but that was a weird storyline for me, being like, yeah, we got to take power away from Big T. Like, how much power does she really have? Because
apparently not much if you ask Corey.
But even just looking at it, it doesn't look like she has all that much power going into it. Maybe, I don't know if we're not seeing all of it, if some of it's just in her own head, but I wouldn't think, yeah, no, that Melissa Big T duo, like that's the power duo going into the season. Just
But
weird.
you know that they're good with each other. You know that
Of
much
course.
of like that they were close with each other before on past seasons. But I also am like, please don't target Melissa. I love Melissa and I need her. She's finally back after a few seasons. I want her to like continue to want to come back because she's fun.
Agreed.
But now we get to the guys. We briefly get a hint of a Jay Aesop like hidden duo because like they only see based off the show, anyone would only know that they were on with each other for like one episode, maybe two. Jay eliminates Aesop, but like Jay's like almost was Aesop's son's godfather. But
Well, you
they
you
seem
were
like an
able to
interesting
see,
duo.
yeah, and you were able to see. Now, granted, it was brief because Aesop was for one episode of Total Madness, but you did see that they were close during that one episode. So that does make sense. And I don't know how many of these other people that Jay really knows. Like, obviously, he would know like Chauncey, Horacio, and a few of the other guys. But I feel like a large portion of the men on the season, anyway, are either from the foreign shows or they're from Spies, Lies, and Allies, which Jay wasn't on. So it makes sense that, okay, he would know Aesop fairly well.
Right. But this is also where we get this turn. And we've seen it a lot in reality TV, but it's like, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it in this way, and sort of gender wars, because we hear from Corey and some of the other guys like, well, the guys did what we were supposed to do. We did a good job. So it's the girls' fault, and the girls should have to go into elimination.
That douchebag James.
Yeah, douchebag James, who I kept wanting to call Jack in my notes, because I literally do not know who he is. And for someone who's done absolutely nothing, because he was on the show for the UK like for not even 2 rounds of the game, because I think he had to medically leave. Dude has a lot to say for someone who's done very little.
Yeah, I get why they're trying. Now, not that, I want to see gender wars or anything like that, but I think it's just simply from where it's at right now is knowing that, hey, as far as we know, they're not going to put us down, a man and a woman down in the sand together. And so I think a lot of it just comes more from preservation of, if we just force the hand and we make it a guy's day or we make it a girl's day, that keeps us safe. And I think that's really where a lot of that comes from. But the whole bravado we get from the men here of just being like, we did our job. It's just like, you guys kind of sucked at your job. I got you got out of the hole, but you really gave the puzzle almost no chance.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Kieran even says, like, he got out with 40 seconds left. Like, you didn't do your job. The job was to make a plan where you win $50,000, and you didn't.
Not just get out of the hole.
Yeah, no. If the hole was the only part of the challenge, then good job. But that was only half the challenge.
Yeah.
But then because of that, we have Big T, who's like very much, while everyone else is like infighting amongst the girls, Big T's like trying to be this focal point of like, no, we all have to stick together. We need to make it a guy's day. And like, I don't know who she was going to push other than Kieran, who she was also on his list or her list of who she was good with. But, like, we don't really know where she was going to point the vote at.
No, it felt like it could have gone a few different ways, but it would have been curious to see had they had to throw out, like, had it been, I don't know, let's say more of like a Hopper situation where you would see guys and girls' names. It would be interested to see what were some of the guys' names that would have come up other than Kieran.
Mm-hmm. So, like, again, we're hearing from them that the girls' names are Big T, Melissa, Berna. Like, these are the people that they would prefer to be putting in. Berna's starting to get emotional because she is hearing her name going around, and she's a little defensive, but like, you do have Huey with the bubble butt, and Michelle trying to console her. But like, even Huey's like, if she's gonna be so defensive of me when I'm like her biggest friend here, like, how much should I really be trying to help keep her safe this early in the game and like expend all of my like social capital for her?
Huey here he's kind of like that drunk friend, so everyone's been out, had some drunken nights, they're out, and there's someone who's emotional or upset. And Huey's that big lovable person that's trying to come and help, but is really drunk themselves and means best, but is not using the right words and just ends up making the situation worse.
I mean, it doesn't help that he's like, he is trying to console her, maybe not in the best way, but like, he's talking at a normal level, and then Berna just immediately goes, "Stop yelling at me," which only makes Huey start yelling.
Like,
I'm so glad he's back. I'm so glad he's back because I think he's just such a character. Like, you need, like, that's just what I love about this season is like, it's not that these people are going to be good at the game or like be potential winners. Like I want to root for these people or root against these people as like the characters that they can provide for the show, because we've been lacking characters, like people who are just gonna like not give a shit that they're on camera and just say whatever the hell they want to say.
Agreed. This is why, looking back at just last season, USA 2, it's the reason why Amanda was a legend. It had nothing to do with, her challenge dominance or prowess. But you need these characters that aren't just, oh, I'm here because, I'm an college athlete and I'm really good at this. You need people that are going to bring the drama, that are truly interesting people. And Huey's definitely one of those. And I think his heart was coming from the right place. It just may have been poor execution.
Absolutely. So next, we brought it up earlier. We have some flirting. We have some flirting between Callum and Survivor sweetheart Montchal, who can't stop herself from getting involved with the fuckboys.
Well, she didn't have anyone to flirt with last season, so she's trying to make sure she takes full advantage of it this season.
That is true. But she's spending all this time, for all we know. They only talked late into the night. Deep emotional talks. But the main point is Montchal was asking him about his situationship or if it was actually a relationship. And Callum is denying that he has a girlfriend. It's not a girlfriend. It's not a relationship. Everyone's just like, okay.
But the first time that she asked him about it, there was a long pause before he answered. Montchal.
Oh, no.
That's your fucking answer.
Montchal, please.
I love you.
There's other people you can hook up with. There's other people. This dude is bad news. He's bad news. I love that Jay calls him gum. He's like, he's the gum on your shoe. You just can't get rid of it. But all of this to say, he's denying. Q, video call with his girlfriend.
I love and miss you, baby. Well,
I think I need to leave. I feel like I've messed up here. And then goes to confessional saying, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's production's fault for putting Montchal in this house.
Well, damn you, production. Yeah, that as much as, I think, wow, what a, scumbag, douchebag, fuckboy, asshole, whatever you want to call it. It's good for the show. It's good for the game.
The issue is it's not like what Tanisha thinks of Jax. Like, it's not just like, but he's a cute douchebag. Like, no, he's just a douche.
He's a full-on douche. Yeah. That's got to be, I don't want to say it because of what happens after it, but we're getting some mini bear vibes, unfortunately, there.
Ooh.
Because he was doing the same thing, just not from what happens after, because we know that
Kieran did it too.
Horrible person. But Kieran did it, but Kieran in Australia went back and he admitted and apologized for it. Like, is it right what he did? Absolutely not. But at least he kind of admitted, hey, what I did was wrong. Where this is the whole Bear and Georgia situation of, no, that's, well, I guess he says that's my cousin. But
it's my cousin.
Two opposite sides of the story to each of them.
Also, going back to Kieran real quick, because we knew after the Australia in our coverage, we were like, oh no, he was still with his girlfriend. We know that.
How did she sign off on him coming back?
No, I think they separated like months ago.
Oh, did
before
they?
He was single coming in here, and there's also a clip here where I think he's just like deciding, I'm just gonna play the game here, and he has like a full on make out with Huey, during their party in there. But I think she didn't break up with him because he cheated on TV. I think she broke up with him because his big thing that he talked about here for if he won the money was collect Pokemon cards.
Why the fact that Pokemon has been mentioned twice on reality TV this week is
On the same day.
I guess, yeah, almost exactly at the
Same
same
time slot.
time. Please make it stop.
I wouldn't have guessed that with him, but okay. So we have all that. Berna's talking with Colleen about having difficulty being heard, and Colleen's like background is a psychologist. She's a psychologist. She's good at understanding language and expression, and she's trying to give Berna advice. Berna's like, no. I don't need your advice. My help is just talking right now. And I think you saw Colleen like, oh, okay. I was about to actually give you like some good advice here. But whatever.
Yeah, Berna's definitely, she's struggling here. And I think some of it is, I'm sure, just a language barrier here. Because we even have the confessional from Hui where she says, why can't we just talk in Spanish? This would make everything so much easier.
And honestly, I feel for her. Don't set up these people to fail. Like, you're setting up Hui to fail. And I absolutely adore this girl. And I want her to do well. And like, apparently, like, everyone loves her. But I'm like, but that language barrier is going to be an issue for them. And like an easy excuse of like, we just can't communicate with Hui. So we're going to have to put her in. Sorry. And then she loses in elimination. Like, that's like my prediction for her. And I hate that because I want to see her on my TV because she's fun.
No, she has a great personality, very bubbly. You can see why a lot of the cast loves her. But yeah, eventually, as you're getting down to it, because you could think, okay, we're trying to make a last minute change in the vote or something like that. And the language barrier just makes it so easy for one or two comments that you have to not be understood or taken the right way. Something blows up and everyone is blaming her 10 seconds later, which is what I absolutely do not want to see happen. But I'm afraid it might.
Right. And you know who doesn't have a bubbly, fun personality?
James.
James is just I'm here to make the money for the group. Like I'm here to make the money. If the pit was the issue, I would go in, Kieran would go in, but the pit wasn't the issue. It was the girls' fault for not doing the puzzle. So we needed to be a girls' day.
Fucking asshole.
But like they also like, so they're like focused on Big T or Berna, but Corey's also like, well, if we are choosing Big T, we can't let her know that her name is an option because she is powerful enough where she could get that house to flip
swing
again.
The votes.
Yeah, swing those votes. I'm here to count the votes, unlike U.S. politics. But that's all I'm gonna say on that. So we from here, we're about to go into deliberation, and the one last thing we do here is while Big T's like sort of, she doesn't understand why the girls aren't coming together. The issue you then have is Olivia mentioning that Jess was saying her name and other strong girls' names to try to throw them under the bus before her. She does hear that from Kyland, who that's the most that we hear from Kylan today.
Forgot he was on the show.
Yeah. But that gets us to the deliberation. And Callum speaks up and says it should be a girls' week. When Nerys battles back on the phrasing the guys are using, we only hear back from Callum of, well, don't fuck it up.
Which is
great social player, this Callum guy.
Well, it's clearly
like,
I don't figured out.
Like you would think he would be coming in with a better case, considering like he got to the final of UK never winning anything. So you would have to think like his social game and political game would have been good. But then I remember it's the UK. And the UK hates any type of gamemanship.
They really do. They really want to do things old school of like what
It's
we'd
like how
see the very
it's like
early reality
I
TV.
don't understand how they're trying to bring back Survivor in the UK, because UK hates liars and deception and any type of strategy.
Well, apparently the first episode sucked. I didn't watch it. I have no idea. Just what I heard.
I wouldn't know either. Um, but we might be covering it on this platform with Johnny and probably Karen. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this whole
So
deliberation,
yeah,
it's weird because it starts out, it's just a pissing match between the guys and the girls, which understandably, like if you want to go after and say, hey, we don't want it to be, a guy's day or a girl's day, that much I get. But yeah, we touched on it. Just the men being like, well, we did our job is just, it's such a bullshit excuse.
it's and you have James just being a huge dick about it. It's like, the guys did our job. The guys did our job. What did you guys do? You guys didn't do the puzzle. Give me a name. And I'm like, James, you're talking so fucking loud for someone who went after like episode 1 of a season in the UK. Like, be quiet. Shut up. How about you go into elimination? Because I'm annoyed by you. You're not even good TV.
No, unless he has like a segment later on the season where he's saving like babies and puppies from like a burning fire, he's gonna be just douchebag James to me.
No,
Forever.
he's douchebag. He's a douchebag Karen. Not to be mistaken with Karen Coleman, but like, dude even has a Karen haircut.
He does.
Yeah, think about it. Think about it. But we do have that. We hear people pitching across, like Kieran's defending himself, Big T's defending herself. I like that Berna uses this as a moment to like apologize for how she came across these few days. I think that did help her, but what really helped her, Dan, go for it. Go for it, because you gave me your like initial thing in our texts while we were both watching the show. Go for it.
Jessica, I love you. I was such a big fan of you in the Challenge Australia, but what the actual fuck is this? I said this is almost Jenny Lee from Total Madness bad, of just being like, hey, I'm going to make this speech and try to turn it around. And if your hole wasn't already 6 feet deep before, it certainly is now. There is nothing about this saying, well, I don't even really want the money. I'm not that strong, but I would just like to stay around. Hey, if I won the money, I would even, just donate it all to charity, which I do know she has come out and has clarified some of her words of what she said, which I'm sure it was all coming from a good place. But in a deliberation, this was, I think, the second worst speech behind Jen Lee's in Total Madness that I can think of, at least in recent memory.
Mm-hmm. Then after that, we hear the guys talking again, and the only notes I have here is like Corey wasn't expecting to see Kieran thrown up, and James is talking too much for someone who's done nothing. Because it's literally just rehashing for the 4th time in this episode, James saying the same exact fucking thing. And guess what? We don't care. Watch this guy have like a deep run or something, and I'm gonna absolutely hate it. Because like, this is already after 1 episode. I'd rather have Anissa on my screen.
Really? I have so many more questions about that than anything. So you mean Anissa on your screen other than James, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That much I can live with.
If I had to choose one or the other, 100% of the time, I will rather choose Anissa, because Anissa at least is a good narrator. Mm-hmm. She can have some funny lines. My only issue with her is that she doesn't do the work to actually win a final.
She doesn't do the work. So that really tracks.
Like, that's my only, and like, it was just fatigue. It really, above all else, it was fatigue of having her on so many consecutive seasons. Like, now that she's taking a few off, she won't be on season 40. If 40 is supposed to be an all winners season.
Alex, would you say that you miss Anissa?
No, I'm perfectly content. I'm perfectly content. This is what most of the veterans should be doing. It's like you have your few seasons and then you take a few off. And then you come back and you don't feel like a burden on casting.
Well, yeah, but everyone should be look at this as a blessing, because think about how many more vacations they could take while 39 was filming to build that vacation alliance. Huh?
Absolutely. Hey, and she also legitimately needed time to recover from real injuries that she did get from that
Yeah.
final.
Well,
So,
Anissa, Alex misses you. He can't wait to see you
oh my
back on our
god.
screen. Go ahead, take us to the next
Well,
portion.
it's because we won the war. We're the official challenge podcast.
We did when
she's not even the main podcaster anymore for that anymore. Like we've won.
that is true. Just mark that down as another victory for us. So,
Oh, I mean, you said yourself, like our names were said on a Giant Bananas podcast, full names. Like we, based off of that, everyone should know we are alleged challenge experts.
not alleged, it's factual, which apparently that's how, according to Jax, because was at the House of Villains viewing party. And it's funny, if you go to follow Jax or tag him in anything, it pops up and it says, are you sure you want to like follow him or whatever? He's been known to break guidelines and stuff in the past. And his response to that is because don't post hashtag facts on social media, and that's what happens. I don't think I believe Jax, but right from him.
With that, also please keep following along with our House of Villains coverage, where Johnny will give us like as much inside scoop as he's allowed to give. The show is amazing. It gives old school VH1 reality TV vibes. Like, also, if you don't even want to watch it for Johnny, watch for Bobby Lights.
Watch for Bobby Lights. And, just real quick, Johnny is continuing to do his viewing parties across the country. This upcoming week, he'll be doing Survivor and House of Villains in Charlotte, North Carolina. The week after that, I believe in their Chicago. They got Cincinnati, Miami, and a few other events. You can get tickets for that at survivortix.com for the Survivor events. That's survivortix.com or villaintix.com. They'll both take you to the same website. Just go. I cannot recommend it highly enough. I was just with them this past week down in Clearwater, Florida. Survivor was great. We had Janet and Mama C that was there. And then House of Villains viewing party was amazing. It wasn't only Johnny Fairplay. We had number one guy in the group, Jax from Vanderpump Rules, Johnny Bananas, as you guys all well know from The Challenge. And we even had a little surprise guest of Alyssa S. from Survivor USA 2. It was an absolutely amazing event. Huh? Did I say Survivor?
You did it too.
Oh,
You did it too.
The Challenge USA 2. I apologize. But it was absolutely amazing event. They were so nice. Bananas took his time, went around, talked to everybody, as well as Jackson Fairplay. Alyssa was an absolute sweetheart. So if you're near any of these events going on, can't recommend them enough.
Absolutely. But with that, we now are getting to the end of this. We're at the arena. It's a public vote. It starts with Berna. Berna's like, I need to throw the name that I think is going to save me. So says Jessica. And then everybody else votes Jessica. Jessica votes Jessica because this is the control phase. And I want to have fate in my hand. After checks the notes on the screen, there was 21 votes for her and no one else at that time. So you're not really controlling it. I get it. It's to save your own face of embarrassment of just being thrown up like that. But we do have Horacio voting Big T because he is not a follower.
Horacio, what the fuck? Not because I think that this was a bad move, but I just don't get why he went and he threw Big T's name out here. Because I get, okay, he doesn't want to be a follower. He wants to take control. There is nothing good out of saying Big T's name here that is going to benefit him in the long run. So I have no idea what his motive was for doing it. If you want to start to, rock the boat and go against the grain, being the last person on the very first vote is not the time to do so.
It's such a shame too, because now Big T officially doesn't see Horacio as hot anymore.
I don't know how Horacio is going to recover from that one.
I don't know. I definitely can't watch his social media and see what greener grass he has found.
Fucker won at life. But so my only thought, it was more so with Jessica taking the vote on herself rather than Horacio, was wouldn't it make sense to throw out her vote onto someone else? Not simply because of the bullshit, line of I'm taking control. But at this point in time, as far as we know, we don't understand how the elimination is picked. And so my only thought is, why not just throw out a vote on who, now we see her ultimately pick Big T, but who you want to go against? Because the twist could simply be, oh, Big T, you had the second most amount of votes. You're going down there as well.
True. We didn't know what the format was, but she comes down here and she says, like, this is control. I want to have control. And TJ goes, well, you're in luck because you have full control. You can pick any of the other women to face an elimination right here, right now. And see, I'm of the mind that in these type of situations, don't avoid eye contact.
No.
You have all these people that are like avoiding eye contact, feeling very nervous because like they just don't want to be in this situation. It's not that they don't think they can win, but they don't want to be in the situation. I'm giving you direct eye contact. Like you aren't, my focus is only on you. Like I want you to be fully aware that like, if you pick me, we're going to have some problems. Like you best be picking somebody else.
Well, not only does it send that message, but I also think in that situation where you're looking up at a group of 23 other people, the people who aren't looking at you stand out way more than the people who are actually looking at you. It makes you way more obvious.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. She picks Big T. It's called Fallout, and you're locked in a cage that's hovering over the arena. You are going to clear out all these tiles that are in the middle of the cage and then grab the rope and pull in the hammer that's attached to the rope. Use that hammer to smash through the bottom of the cage. Obviously, the first person to get the hammer wins. Because I couldn't tell if there was multiple hammers or just one hammer. I'm assuming there was only one because it would have just been like I guess in their theory, it will become like a legitimate tug of war for it.
Mm-hmm.
But Big T handles it. Big T was moving with urgency and Jessica wasn't. And Big T gets the hammer. Big T wins the elimination. Big T gets to stay in the game.
I did see, I don't know how much of it's true because it was coming from Jessica, but I saw that she'd answered something on like Instagram that you didn't actually need to clear out all of the tiles. You just needed to clear out the center section. And she misunderstood that part of the rules, that she thought you had to take out all of them. And she thinks that's part of the reason why she lost. Who knows if that actually had anything to do with it? Just something that I saw. So food for thought.
Oh, for sure. But it also just felt like Big T was moving at a
way faster
rate and more like purposeful rate than her.
Mm.
But that's how we end this episode. We end this episode now. We have an idea of how the beginning phase is going to go. We're still trying to see what ultimate power structures are going to be jockeying for position. Are we just going to see gender wars for this first part of the season, or are we going to see the people working alongside each other? Like we are the people that we want to see at the final at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's too early for me to like make a prediction on who can win.
Oh no! We did
but
it
I'm
after
gonna make
episode 1.
I'm gonna make one based solely off of an edit choice. So, not saying I'm rooting for this. And this is actually a season I've been able to avoid a good amount of spoilers.
Same here.
Because of the fact that it was going like sort of like interchangeably with USA 2, I was able to like shift up my algorithms, try to avoid it as much as possible. Blocked some accounts or muted some accounts so that I wouldn't see them. I just knew the cast. But as soon as they said what the prize money was and that it was only going to be one individual winner, the camera cuts from TJ to Emmanuel. So my prediction is Emmanuel, and my reasoning for the prediction is outside the editing choices. We saw him on his other season, and if he had gotten to the final, he was someone that everyone on that in that cast was like very concerned about would win straight up in a final.
So it's funny that you say that, because as I was thinking, like, oh, are we going to talk about predictions? I was almost going to say Emmanuel, just for the simple fact of my rule of thumb is if Jordan's on the season, I'm picking him to win. It's dollar brand
and
Jordan.
That is Emmanuel's gimmick, is he must be Jordan.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that. For me, I'll throw out one guy and one girl, and I'd be interested to see who your girl pick would be as well. For the guys, I don't know if I don't know if he has it in him or not. I hope he does. I'm going to go Jay. I'd like to see how he's going to do this season. I think he can make a pretty good run at it, but I don't know. I was thinking between either a Jay or potentially a dark horse Ed, but we didn't really see Ed, but I think he has a lot of things. And as far as the women's side of things, I get that she wasn't the darling of Ride or Dies. Everyone would think that it's Olivia, but if I'm going women, I'm going Nerys.
I think Nerys is a strong choice. I will choose to pick just a different girl and go with Olivia, just because Olivia was my girl. But like Olivia and Nerys were people, like, I didn't know Olivia before Ride or Dies. I knew Nerys before Ride or Dies, and Nerys was someone that I've always wanted to see on the show. She always wanted to be on the show. She went on Are You the One because she wanted to get onto the challenge. Like, I would love to see a Nerys win. But I'll go with Olivia to pick someone that isn't the same. Someone who will be messes of the season. A straight away, don't even need to predict it because it's gonna happen. It's Corey.
Oh yeah, you saw that just in the preview for the rest of the season.
In one part of the preview, is him pretty much calling Big T and Melissa a bunch of idiots for ever trusting him, and the next minute it's him crying. So he's gonna be a mess. From the girls' side, Berna. It has to be Berna.
I think Berna's
there's people giving her like Camilla comparisons, and I don't think she's as nearly as toxic as Camilla is, but no. I could see it. I could definitely see it.
I think at some point, if we continue on the same path as we did episode 1 of her not being heard or not really getting anything that she wants, there's a blow up waiting to happen there.
But that wraps up our coverage for episode 1 for the Challenge 39, Battle for a New Champion. We will be back next week, most likely back at our regular time of Friday afternoons. But please say for our other coverages of House of Villains and Survivor on Wednesday nights, Friday nights, and sometime between the weekend and Monday for House of Villains, become a patron at realitypatron.com for our best content and best way to support the podcast. For audio listeners, please give us our 5-star rating on whatever platform you use to listen to us. If you're watching on YouTube, click that like, subscribe, and press that bell for notification. It's great for the algorithms to push our content out there for other people who love to watch these shows that we cover. But with that, this has been The Challenge. This has been Reality After Show. This has been Dan Montchal, Alex Trias, Challenge Experts. We'll see you next time.